One of the hardest parts of getting older is feeling like something's off in your body, but not knowing exactly what. It's not just aging, it's often your hormones too. When they fall out of balance, everything feels off. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be the story of your next chapter. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is an herbal formula made with science-backed ingredients designed to fine-tune your hormones by balancing estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol. It helps with common issues such as hot flashes, poor sleep, low energy, bloating, and more. With over 40,000 reviews and a bottle sold every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. A survey found 86% of women lost weight, 77% saw an improved mood, and 100% felt like themselves again. Start your next chapter feeling balanced and in control. For a limited time, get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com with code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
If you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, Grainger knows that you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you're confident you'll soon have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is episode 432 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abu-Al-Samad from Telemetry.
And I'm Nicole Wakeland from Top Speed.
And we have a special guest today. Robbie's running a few minutes late. He's got a work thing. But we got a special guest joining us today for the first time. Harvey, hello.
Yep. Hey. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited. I've been listening to you guys for a long time and glad to participate.
You're welcome.
Harvey Briggs is a longtime friend of the show and of all of us. Tell the audience a little bit about who you are, Harvey.
I'll not go all the way back because that would be a long time. But I started this crazy career back in 1978 as an intern at Car and Driver magazine. Since then, did some automotive advertising, bunch of other things, and I now run the website Rides and Drives and contribute to Rob Report and a few other outlets doing automotive reviews, travel stories, that kind of stuff. So I'm one of the gang.
And you've written some books too, I think, right?
A book.
Just one?
Yeah, I wrote. Yeah, we had hoped to do a second, but that one flamed out spectacularly. So, we wrote. I'm a co-writer, Simon Van Boy, and I wrote a book called Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Making a Legend. It's still available on Amazon and any other platform where you want to buy a book. But we had a lot of fun writing that.
So last week, you and I spent a good portion of the week together. Probably, about 5-6 days altogether?
Yeah.
So share with the audience what we were doing across 2,000 miles in multiple days last week.
Yeah, we were participating in what is known as Operation Frodo. It's a rescue mission that was founded by our friend Nick Miles, where we rescue beagles from Omaha, Nebraska, and drive them to Portland and Seattle out on the West Coast. It turns out that there are too many beagles in the Midwest and not enough homes for them, but there are plenty of homes available for beagles on the West Coast. So we were able to move these 20 beagles out of the Midwest and into places where they'll have their forever homes and, basically save 20 beagle lives. So I'm really excited we got to do that together, Sam.
Yeah, and it also, not just did we find some homes for those dogs, but it also opened up space at the Basset and Beagle Rescue of the Heartland in Omaha for other dogs. So I think we got a note from Kathy there on the second day that we were on the road, saying that the 20 that we had taken had opened up space for another 5 that they had already taken in just 2 days later.
Yeah, and this is I think fourth year we've been doing it, so we've saved 85 dogs to this point. And when you think about that, that means, like you said, we open up space where they can bring in more dogs, and those will get adopted out in other areas of the country. It's a really nice thing to be able to be a part of. Yeah.
And of course, not all of the dogs end up in the Pacific Northwest, especially the last 2 years.
Yeah, two things happened. One, we started working with the Utah Beagle Rescue, so we've dropped off dogs in Salt Lake City. But our friend Paul Eisenstein just can't seem to leave Operation Frodo without adopting a dog. So for the second year in a row, Paul has failed as a foster and and didn't let a dog get home. So he took it home with him, and he's just been having the best time introducing his latest four-legged family member to the others in their household.
Well, if you're going to fail at anything in life, that's a good thing to fail at.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It was it's always dramatic though when Paul decides to do this. Then we have to figure out because they aren't our dogs, right? We're just transporting them. They either, before they get in our vehicles, they belong to Basset and Beagle Rescue of the Heartland, an amazing organization that does so much good in Omaha and throughout the Midwest. And once they're in our possession, then technically they belong to the rescues on the other end. And that would either be the Asher House, Seattle Beagle Rescue, or Utah Beagle Rescue. So when Paul says, "Oh, this dog and I have bonded and he must come home with me," well, then we have to call the rescue and say, is he spoken for? Is it okay if Paul takes him home? This year it was fairly easy because the dog didn't have a permanent home yet. But last year the dog did. And so Paul had to take that dog home, then get another dog and fly him out to Seattle so some child could have his Christmas beagle. Time. So it was a whole thing, but it's great. It's great to see it. It's great to see everybody get so involved, and it's such a great event for our community of automotive journalists to give back.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's challenging. It's hard driving 2,000 miles, and and also even for those of us that have the willpower not to adopt every dog that we're with. It's still tough when we have to hand them over after we've spent multiple days with them.
Yeah, I know you bonded with your one of the dogs that you
with Ned.
Cared for, and that was really great to see. I must be a heartless bastard because I love the dogs while we have them, but at the end of the trip, I'm happy to see them end up where they end up in their homes, and it is for me. It's super gratifying to see people get that dog and have the pet that they're going to keep, and know that this dog went from a really tough situation, whether it's a puppy in a puppy mill or a dog that was serving as a breeding dog in one of these places, or medical research, because they come from all different areas and end up in a loving home with other animals and maybe kids to take care of them. To me, that's the best part about the whole thing.
Yeah, and this year it looks like a second dog is also going to be coming back to Michigan. Paul adopted Clyde, who is a Basset and Border Collie mix, which is a very unusual mix. But there's another dog that is coming back, a dog named Liam, that apparently one of our cohort has found a home for him here in Michigan. And so right after Christmas, he's planning to fly back out to the West Coast and drive back with Liam and bring him to his full-time home here, assuming we get everything sorted out by then.
Yeah, and bring one of the vehicles that we drove out there back to the Midwest. Okay. It turns out that the fleet in Chicago was expecting that Kia to come back. I had no idea.
Oops.
Yeah, we got the call, an email saying, so when are you going to drop that car back at O'Hare for us?
You're like, not?
We'll get back to you on that.
So that's a note for next year. Just make sure all communications on vehicle start and end points is clear for everybody. So
yeah,
that's funny.
This is one of the things about this event is that automakers loan us vehicles just like we get press vehicles to drive and review. And in a few minutes we're going to do some quick reviews of the vehicles we drove last week. But they loan us the vehicles that we're using for this event. And in some cases, they want them back where they started from, like this particular Kia Carnival. In others, they're loaning us vehicles that they, also maybe need to have repositioned. Some of them come from here and end up and stay in the fleet on the West Coast. We should definitely thank the automakers for that.
Yeah, and typically the vehicles that they loan us are toward the end of their useful life as a press vehicle. They get to that point where they've got 10, 11, 12,000 miles, and they're going to be pulled from the fleet anyway in some cases. So for them, it's a nice opportunity to give the vehicle one last hurrah. And for us, it really is a unique way to evaluate a vehicle because, how many long road trips do you ever take in a press vehicle? How many dogs do you carry in your press vehicles? It doesn't happen very often. And this is a way for us really to talk about the vehicles and what they're capable of in a way that typically we don't.
So, Nicole, you want to adopt a beagle?
I would love to adopt a dog, but I just don't have my life does not support it with the amount of time I'm on the road. I miss our dog so much, our little doggo. I keep saying I want another one because now Kit has him because it was technically her dog, so she took him when she moved out. Like, I miss that little dog so much. So someday when my travel life slows down, there could be a beagle potentially in my future.
Yeah, I think we're the same way. That's one of the reasons that I try to stay somewhat detached because I can't bring a dog home right now with our lifestyles either.
It's too hard. Our dog would, if we had a dog, that poor pup would probably spend 75% of his time at a kennel, not at our house, with our travel schedules. And that's not fair to a dog. So
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that's important for people. If you are adopting a dog, understand your lifestyle and what you can give, because that's what happens a lot of times is people get a dog, they don't realize the commitment it takes, and then they surrender it. And we actually had a few surrenders on our troop of dogs this year too.
It's a lot of work. Like, dogs are great fun and they bring you so much joy, and so they're such loving creatures, but they are a responsibility, so not one to be undertaken unless you're prepared to take that responsibility, truly.
Yeah, and for, dog can live 15, 16, 20 years, so it's a long-term commitment for sure.
Yeah, and, you mentioned, a couple of the dogs that we had, were surrenders. A couple of them were, we came into the rescue because their owners were elderly and had died, and so that's unfortunate, and then there was one, Cora, who was found out in the wild having just had a litter of 7 pups, and she's a little beagle, and she had 7 pups,
right?
And they brought them all in, and they're taking care of those puppies now at Asher House near Portland.
Yep. Yeah, we should talk a little bit about Asher House too, because that's a pretty amazing setup out there.
Hey, Robbie.
Hi, everybody.
Hey there.
Hi, Robbie.
Robbie was running a little late because he had some actual work to do.
I'm sorry.
Got to pay some bills. But thanks for joining us. We were just talking about Operation Frodo, and the experience that we had last week transporting dogs. And one other thing I want to mention about Operation Frodo, it's there. Nick Miles, who you mentioned, he's a friend of ours. he started a nonprofit organization called Animal Rescue Rigs. So Operation Frodo is it's one piece of a larger puzzle. And we've transported 85 dogs now over the last 4 years. But there's 500,000 dogs that never come out of shelters every year. Moving those dogs around is challenging for the organizations, for the shelters. And so one of the goals of Animal Rescue Rigs is to eventually provide vehicles for those rescue organizations to help move the dogs to where they can get permanent homes.
Yeah, I'm actually on the board of Animal Rescue Rig, so we've been talking about this now and really putting the plan together this year to start building and delivering vehicles specifically for animal transport, because those 500,000 dogs that don't make it out of shelters, there's a home for every one of them if the dogs can be moved to where the homes are. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is to use our, what little influence we have with the automakers to do things like Operation Frodo, and then also work with them to hopefully provide vehicles that can help move dogs throughout the year. Because while it's great to do it around Christmas time, these dogs can be moved and need to be moved any time of the year. Oh, you're muted, Sam.
Before we move on, one last thing on this before we start talking about cars. Tell us about Asher House.
Yeah, the Asher House is just came on as a partner with us this summer, and this is the second time we've been delivering dogs to them. But Lee Asher founded this. He actually started his life with animals as like a TikTok influencer. He was going around the country to shelters just before COVID hit, and he would go into different shelters and highlight animals that were up for adoption. Well, when COVID came, he couldn't do that anymore, and he wanted to do something big. So he bought a 240-acre farm outside of Salem, Oregon, where he keeps dogs, cats, farm animals that are rescued from bad situations. When we were there, he had 2 Clydesdales that had been rescued from a slaughterhouse. They were going to be killed. He has 150 dogs in his pack right now. About a third of those are adoptable, and the other third aren't adoptable, but he cares for them so that they can live out their life in, this amazing setting. The cat annex in his house was incredible. And the house is funny. It's like he bought this property and it had this beautiful, I don't know how many square foot that house was, but 20,000 square foot home on this property overlooking a lake. And I'm going, must be nice. And then I walk in and he's converted it to an animal shelter.
Yeah, there's I think there's about 110 or 115 of the dogs are living in the house.
So, yeah.
Wow.
But we got to go for a pack walk with him with about 50 of the dogs. It was really cool. So he's doing great work out there, and we're happy to support him and happy he is partnering with us to take those dogs as well.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. All right. Well, let's transition a little bit to talk about some cars and what's going on in the auto industry. Nicole, let's start with
Yes.
you. What have you been
Okay.
driving?
Excuse me. Of course, you asked me what I've been driving, and I immediately start coughing. I was driving the Ford Maverick Lobo, which is just a silly name, Lobo. Like, just say what do you like? I just what do you
Lobo.
drive? I drive a Lobo. So it's a very specific version of the Maverick. It's sort of like their lowrider, like street performance lowrider, but it's not super performancey in terms of power. But they gave it a performance tuned suspension. Excuse me. They lowered it a little bit, so it's like got that lowrider vibe. It has a specific 7-speed automatic, and you get paddle shifters. There's a Lobo drive mode, which I didn't try because it's like a track mode kind of thing, and I was not taking us on the track. I had this for a very limited window, and nobody's taking anything on a track in New Hampshire right now because it is like 10 degrees out. If you are, it's probably a snowmobile, and that's it that you're taking out there. But so, if you want to go have some fun with it, you can. It's a fun vehicle to drive. But it's a little bit more about the style of it than the substance of it. Like, it looks really cool. Like, you walk up to it and you're like, what is this? It has this, I don't even know how to describe the grill on this. It has this grill that is just, it's such a funky looking grill. The way it curves. I don't know. I just think the grill is amazing. And it has wheels. You guys, have you all seen the wheels on this? They call them, I wrote down what they call it, turbofan styled black painted wheels. Or, as somebody in my family said, it looks like the wheels are dinner plates. Like, they're just these big flat black circles. So it looks cool, but it either looks cool and you love it, or it looks funky and you think, what were they thinking here? If you get that lowrider vibe, though, from that point of view, you got to have that in your head when you look at this, and suddenly it all comes together and kind of makes sense. I don't know that I try to imagine who's going to buy this. Like, are there that many people that want a lowrider Maverick truck right at stock? Like, I feel like if you're that guy, you want to mess with your own truck. You like want to do it yourself. If you're the guy who's going to take it to a show and, I don't know, put the little, what do they do? What's the hydraulic thing so the car goes?
The hydraulic suspension.
Is it literally, yeah, like a hydraulic suspension? You can't see me trying to mimic what a hydraulic suspension does. So like this. This isn't TV. This is a podcast. But so it's very fun to drive. It was comfortable. I mean, I had 4 people in it. We did a good bit of driving on the highway and stuff. The only thing I would notice, it has a nice little grr, a little bit louder, but it's not especially powerful. It has a 2-liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost. It's 250 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. It's fine. I mean, the Maverick isn't a huge truck, but the performance part of this is more that they have lowered it and sort of changed the suspension as opposed to like giving it this outrageous amount of horsepower. So suddenly you can, beat a Tesla off the line or something. That's not what this is. I feel like it's a little bit more about the style of it. It's because it just looks really fun. It looks really cool. I saw people doing that. Like, what is that? Like the wheels, especially those turbo fan style black painted wheels. They get people's attention and they're going to love it or hate it, but you are going to attract attention for those wheels. The other thing about this that is not friendly is the price. It starts at $35,930, according to what I just looked up online, because I'm trying to get the most recent price, also the most recent destination, because it changed from what was on the Monroney that I had. As we've noticed, things have been changing a lot on that. Do you guys want to take a guess at what the destination is on this?
16.
Harvey, since you're what'd you say, Robbie?
16.
He said I would say $14.95.
And what would you say, Sam?
I believe it's $16.95, if I recall from
Sam, with his engineering man memory, yes, it's exactly $16.95.
Harvey, it was $14.95 until a couple months ago, and my
Monroney said $15.95.
Oh, was it 15?
So,
okay,
so it said 15 on my Monroney, but it was $16.95 when I looked it up because I looked it up right before. So unless it's changed in the last 22 minutes, it's $16.95, but who knows? So you're looking at a car that's a truck that's $36,000, but there is an options list for this. Like the number of options when you add the pickup box cover, and there's different bed liners, and there's an illuminated Ford logo badge that you can get, and all these. There's a lot of options on this for the exterior options to make this look like how you want it to look. I feel like once you start playing with this, you're very quickly going to have a truck that's going to be over 40 grand, and it's a compact. It's a smaller truck,
As a Maverick owner.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a 2024 XLT hybrid that I got all in at 34, which felt like a stretch. 40 for the Lobo, and I drove the Lobo at the Mama Rally. We auto-crossed it.
Okay.
And
how was it when you got a chance to drive it in its Lobo mode? How was it?
It's fine, but it's not an, oh my God, this is the coolest, most fun, pickup truck I've ever driven. It's not like, the old, Chevy SS 454 SS or something that they used to do with the Silverado. It's a trim package, and it handles better. Yes, it is more street oriented. Yes, but it's not a light your heart on fire kind of.
Exactly.
Wait, so you're saying this is a trim package and not an all new vehicle that arguably should not be included on Car of the Year lists?
Bingo.
Yeah. Well, either way, it is a finalist for NACTOY. Limited number of trucks in the mix each year, so we do some leeway based on what the truck availability is. So, but yeah, it is one of the trucks. We sometimes do allow trims depending on the changes for the trim, which we've done for years now. We've done that because sometimes there's just aren't enough straight up 100% all new trucks. So it happens all the time. It's nothing unusual.
Well, there goes my chance at NACTOY membership. So.
You're out, Harvey. Not at all. But it was, and that's part of why I had it, because Ford wanted to make sure that I had a chance to drive it before we finished our voting, which finishes, I think, January 2nd. So they were trying to kind of run through us, like give you a couple extra days. We had it at the drive that we did back in October in Michigan, but they like, hey, if we can get people a little extra time to see if they want to vote for it or not, they gave us a little extra time in it. But yeah, it's mostly like it is. It's mostly a trim level. There's not some significant change under the skin. I think it's more style than substance. Like you're paying for the look of it. Inside, it gets cool blue accents and stuff. So I don't dislike it, but I don't know that I feel like they're billing it as a performance.
It's like the trimmer. It's just like a nice sticker pack. It's a nice trim package, but you're like, well, if I was really going to get this vehicle, I would just buy like the XL and lower it and do my own stuff to it. Or if the trimmer,
given that the whole theme of the Maverick when it launched was this whole DIY thing.
Yes.
Shouldn't you just be buying an XL?
And
then doing all this stuff yourself?
I feel like, and if you're the guy who wants to do this, and I say guy, the person who wants to do this to their vehicle, part of the fun of doing this to a vehicle is you get to do it yourself. You get to make it look exactly whatever weird wheels you want and lower it how you want to, you kind of want to play with that stuff yourself if you're the person who's into that kind of car. So I don't know. And do they put sales numbers out for this specifically, Sam? You always know that.
They don't break it out. They don't publish by trim.
I didn't think so. So we have no idea whether they sell 5 of these or 5 million of these. I feel like this isn't going to be something that's going to sell huge numbers, but who knows? Who knows? Only 4.
As you were talking, I went through the build and price and just put on all the options, or
oh my
almost
gosh,
all
what
the
did
options.
it come up to?
I got it up to $46,370.
You can just buy the XL and then do what people did in the 80s and 90s is just cut the springs, lower
There you go.
or heat them up. That was the other thing. And then that person's car would always be like a little cockeyed, like one
slightly off to the side.
You can never get them quite even.
You can never get them quite even. Like you would. They're like, well, if I heat them, it'll be better. And I'm like, I don't either. You just buy new springs. They're like, nah.
Yeah. So that was my time in the Lobo, and I do have another car that I'll talk about next week since I have it for 3 weeks because of Christmas. So I'm going to get to know that sucker really, really well by the time the holidays are over.
Okay. Robbie, what have you been driving?
So this week I rode the Verge TS motorcycle. So if you don't know what this is, it's an electric motorcycle, except the hub, they just made a motor out of the hub. So when you look at it, it looks like it's the rear wheel is just floating. But that's actually the motor, and then there's just a wheel there. So you don't have a chain, you don't have a belt, you don't have any of that stuff that's going to the rear tire. They say it has 737 pound-feet of torque.
It seems like a lot for a motorcycle.
It's a dangerous amount of torque. It's got a very, very wide rear tire. Most of that has to do with the motor, though. It's 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Except when you do 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds in a car, you have a chair or a seat. When you do that on a motorcycle, it's you're just holding on for dear life. Is what it comes down to. The Verge says that the Verge. I keep seeing. I'm afraid there's the site The Verge. Okay, Verge. Says it'll do up to 217 miles. I only got to ride it for about an hour. They just brought it out. The bike I was riding was a European spec. The US spec isn't available because they're making a TS2, like version 2, TS2. I don't know how they're going to name it, but they're making a new bike, and that's the bike that's going to drop in the first quarter of 2026. They just sort of wanted me to ride the bike to show, hey, we know how to build things. We actually have a bike. We're not just vaporware, and we are building bikes. That's it. It was a lot of fun to ride. It has a regen on it, which it can be a little weird with motorcycles. My biggest issue with the bike is the regen, because as you're rolling off the throttle, when you get to 0, that's when the regen starts. And so there's no sort of, it's very binary. It doesn't sort of come on. It's just, now it's on. And you can adjust the different ride modes. They had a regular mode, a normal mode, where the regen still felt a little extreme. But they have this chill mode where the regen feels it makes a lot more sense. It's a much nicer, sort of slowing down experience. It did take me a good 10, 15 minutes just because where I live, there's a lot of windy roads and, I'm riding a motorcycle. So it took me a little bit to sort of get used to that sort of initial, right off the throttle, braking. So that is a little, that's sort of my big issue with the bike. Other than that, it rides well. It feels very solid. I remember the first Zero motorcycles; those things were terrifying because not that now they make the motorcycles are great. They're great motorcycles. Just happen to be electric. This is one of those things where it's a great motorcycle, happens to be electric. But the early days of electric motorcycles were essentially, because everything costs so much, the motor costs so much, the batteries cost so much, so the quality of the rest of the parts wasn't always that great. So it was like riding a really powerful mountain bike. It's just putting on the brakes. The first generation Zero motorcycle, I rode it in the rain in San Francisco, and I remember trying to come to a stop on a hill, and the bike was just like I'm gonna die.
This is it.
That said, the next version of this bike, I guess the rear tire is going to be smaller. Not quite as wide. It's 40. It's a 40. It's super wide. So that'll be great. It'll, it helps, with nimbleness. So it was really sort of hey, look at this. We want you to ride this before we put you on the next generation bike, which comes out next year. And I guess they're going to do all the unveil and all the fun. Look out for that. If you're a motorcyclist and you're into, EV bikes, check them out. It's there, right now we have Zero, we have Can-Am. I rode the Can-Ams recently. Those are really nice. I think we've come to a point where, now the motorcycles all differentiate themselves based on the company versus just here's electric bike. Can-Am has a very interesting way of regenerative braking, whereas you twist forward on the throttle. So you hit 0 and then you twist forward up to, I think, 5 degrees. And between 0 and 5 degrees, there are variants in how much recuperative braking you get, which is kind of cool unless you're really tall and you're trying to do the sort of, the DS model's fine, the Origin, but the other one, I'm sitting so far forward and I'm so tall that as I'm coming to the stop and I hit it, it just sort of like pushes me. So anyway, so there's the TS Pro. The motor, they call it the donut motor, is really interesting just because it's part of that wheel. They do support DC. The next bike, the one I had like DC, or I'm sorry, had a CCS for Europe because it was a European bike. But the ones that are coming out will have NACS, so you'll be able to go and charge it at like a Tesla station or at anyone who supports NACS at that point. And they do have a weird like tablet that sits where the gas tank is. So they have a cluster which with the information that you need, and then you look down more, and they have all this like sort of additional information about charging and some other things. Which, to be honest, you don't really need to be looking at it most of the time. I just want to know how fast I'm going and, if I'm going, my blinkers are working. But, if you want additional information, you can look down a little bit more. I looked at it a little bit. Whenever you're on a new bike, there's always, how is this ride? I'm more concerned in not dying. That's my biggest concern.
It's a good priority.
Yeah. Whenever you're riding a new bike, your first concern is don't die. And then after that, you can learn about all the little bits that it does.
So, Harvey, you're also a rider.
Yes.
Have you ever ridden any electric motorcycles?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I did have a Zero for a month and rode that. And same thing. The thing I love about electric motorcycles is the silence when you're out on a country road and just, riding, and you can hear birds and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. I also like the instant torque. I remember talking to the chief engineer at Zero when I got the bike. He said, when you first ride it in mild mode until you get used to it, and then go into the full sport mode. But he said we detune that a lot. I mean, they could put more torque more instantaneously on that right from Zero, but they don't because they don't want their customers to die.
Not a great way to build a sustainable business.
It's not a resale. Yeah, it's not a resale market.
It's so easy to lift the front wheel on those things as it is, but they really have to modulate that right off the throttle acceleration. So, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to hearing more about this Verge. I just looked at it online, and the engine. The motor concept is really cool. So.
I accidentally wandered into one of their sort of retail stores in the San Jose area at a mall. And I really didn't know much about it. I looked at it, and the person behind the counter was just sort of, I don't know what they were doing. Facebook, who knows? And I was just kind of looking at it. I'm like, well, okay, fine, whatever. And I walked out because, especially the hype, the sort of performance bike, EV performance bikes, those companies have come and gone, and it's more the commuter bikes seem to be the ones that stick around for the most part. But this one, they keep going. They're selling bikes in Europe, at least.
That's good. I mean, yeah, I think there's still that thing where a lot of the guys who are riding the highest performance bikes, they like the visceral sound and feel of an ICE motor, and there is something to that. I mean, my daily is a 97 Ducati 900 SS, which you can't get more visceral than that. It's just such a beautiful machine. But, and so I think there's still a lot of that in the sport bike crowd that while electric may have a lot of advantages, that's great. And the other thing is range, they're saying 212. I can't remember what the Zero was published, but the practical range on my sort of go out and have fun rides was closer to 50 miles. When you're really pegging the throttle and stuff like that, you're not going to get a lot of range because you can put a 14 kilowatt hour battery on there, maybe. You can't.
This one says 20. They've got a 20 on the Verge.
That's big for an electric motorcycle.
Yeah. but you're just like, you're riding a motorcycle. So of course you want to go and ride a motorcycle. It's, the commute. I think right now the majority of the bikes are great for commutes. They're great for sort of like if you have something around your house where you ride around, like trail. I mean, I think they're great for like Harvey was saying, they're wonderful on trails, especially when you want like a nice quiet. And, especially if you're just kind of cruising a trail, you're going to be okay. But if you're really tearing it up, you can burn through that battery pretty quickly.
And this, the Verge is a not inexpensive bike.
Well, they're all very expensive. That's the other.
Yeah. Like this one, $29,900 starting price.
Well, how much is a typical bike? Like, I don't know as much about bikes compared to like a gas equivalent vehicle.
Yes, all over the place. It's like a car. Like, how much is a typical car? It's like all over the place, depending on what you want.
Your starting price is, for a reasonable motorcycle, it's going to be under 10, a little bit under 10. But like if you go buy a fully dressed Indian bagger, you're going to be $35,000, $40,000.
Wow.
So, you do pay a premium for electric motorcycles, but it's something like this that promises top end performance. The bikes that they're competing with, they'll be maybe not that expensive, but they'll be expensive.
Still up there. Okay.
Yeah.
How much can you get a KLR? $7,000 for a KLR. Bulletproof bike. There you go. If you want a bulletproof DS, get a KLR.
All right. So, Harvey, we had 6 different vehicles that we rotated through during our drive last week that we all spent several hundred miles in each day.
Yeah.
And so let's see. We had the Kia Carnival, the Chrysler Pacifica, the Toyota Sienna, VW Atlas, Subaru Forester, and an Ineos Grenadier.
Yeah, and because no one else wanted to, I spent a bunch of time in the Grenadier. Let me tell you that the car is lovely, but it is not designed for long-distance freeway driving.
That's
that way. I mean, it's and they say they're working on the steering that it will be better, but it really does. And Sam, you drove it, right? It's
not on this trip, but I drove it last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's the type of thing where you start your turn and maybe it's going to consider turning, and then all of a sudden it does, right? So it really you constantly just have to mind it because you guide it down the road. You don't.
It's kind of like driving something from the 1970s, early 1970s.
Well, yeah, I learned to drive in a 1974 International Scout 2, and the steering felt just like that.
Oh, there you go. So it's perfect.
So no, it was it was, but surprising. I mean, maybe not surprising. The engine was phenomenal. It's got that nice inline 6 BMW motor in it, so that's great. It wasn't as loud as I had anticipated. You could hold a conversation at 80 miles an hour when we were
driving. You got up to 80.
Yeah,
with
we were driving.
Well, is it Nebraska?
Yeah, well, you're driving across, Nebraska, Wyoming, Idaho, and across like most of Wyoming, the speed limit is 80.
Yeah, so we were, and in Wyoming, we were driving 80 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour crosswind, and it was surprisingly, it was surprisingly controllable. I was worried that I was going to get blown all over the road in it. It wasn't that bad.
So what would you say was, or what, I guess, did you have a favorite of the 6 vehicles that we used in that context?
In the context, I'm a big fan of minivans for these kind of trips. A long distance road trip where you're either having family or a lot of people in them. The only thing that could have skewed my opinion on that would have been if we had gotten some typical winter weather there. But, driving the Sienna, the Carnival, and the Pacifica. I think all three of those were kind of really ideally suited for the mission of loading up 2 or 3 crates of dogs, a lot of gear, 2 or 3 people. They served really well. The Toyota, it was the mileage champ because that was the hybrid version. I think we averaged over 30 miles per gallon on that thing over the 2,000 miles of the trip. And a lot of those were miles above 70 miles an hour. So that one did really well. I think overall, though, my favorite of the 3 minivans would be the Carnival, even though they don't want to call it a minivan.
It's an MPV.
It's an
MPV, multi-purpose vehicle.
I see them around, and I'm like, oh, Carnival. Yeah. I'm like, good job, because everyone who buys one's tricking everybody.
Yeah. No, it was interesting because initially we thought we were going to get the Telluride, and I was really happy we got the Carnival because with all the people and all the gear, and one of those vehicles being a Forester, which doesn't have a lot of room, and the Ineos, while it's a fairly large vehicle, it doesn't have a lot of cargo space either. So we were happy. I was glad to have more minivans so we could make sure everybody got their gear.
Last year we had a Mercedes Sprinter that we were able to put a lot of the extra stuff into that, so things like puppy pens and, everybody's luggage and, extra food and everything for the dogs. And so we loaded a lot of that stuff in the Sprinter. But that, that one also had a lot of challenges with those really strong crosswinds as you're driving across northern Colorado and Wyoming and Idaho. But the one thing I noticed this year, the Pacifica that we had was the Pinnacle trim. So it's the top trim level with the second row captain's chairs. And I like the Pacifica a lot. It's a really good minivan. But if you get that trim with those second row captain's chairs, they don't do the stow and go with those. So if you get the other trims, you get the stow and go second row seats. And so, you open up a cover and those things just drop right down into the floor and you got a completely flat floor behind the front seats. And the seats in the Pacifica that we had don't stow and go, and they don't fold completely flat. So the seat backs were still angled. So you kind of limited in what you can load up on there. So we had to put, things like, some duffel bags and suitcases and things like that, backpacks on there that, and then push the crates up against the kennels, up against the back of that. So the stuff didn't move around. But yeah, the minivans, I think, in general, are really great for this kind of, if you've got to haul a lot of stuff or a lot of people, they're great for a trip like this.
We rent minivan. We went to Palm Springs a few weeks ago and we rented a minivan so we could put the dogs in the back so they can relax.
Exactly. Yeah, it's I'm guilty of it. Back when I had kids at home and all that, we bought the Chevy Tahoe instead of a minivan at the time because of the image thing of it. But looking back at it now, it's like, God, every time I do a long distance road trip with family or those are the best vehicles for that mission, for sure. And one of the things I do want to call it is I really did like the seats in the Chrysler. I thought the front seats on that were the most comfortable of the 3 minivans. So, but they each have their strengths. Unfortunately, that one wasn't the hybrid. We just had the V6 on that.
Well, you couldn't even do stow and go, so it would be, you might as well they might as well send you the hybrid. You can't stow and go with the Pinnacle.
Well, when you're asking people to loan you, companies to loan you stuff, you take what you can get.
Thank you, Chrysler, for letting us borrow. I like the Chrysler. Yes. I typically end up with a Chrysler Pacifica. Occasionally, I'll get a Sienna.
And they were nice enough to put Blizzaks on that for us too.
Ooh.
So in case we had run into snow, we would have been fine. But awesome. We lucked out with the weather this time. So.
Yeah, apart from I know 2 of the vehicles had to get driven down from Detroit and Chicago. I think the Chrysler was one of them, right? And the Kia was the other one.
the Chrysler, the Kia, and the Sienna all came in.
Yeah, the Sienna also got driven down.
Because I drove. Oh, actually, no, and the Subaru, right? Because Charisse drove the Subaru from Chicago. So 3 of the vehicles came out of the Chicago fleet. I drove the Sienna.
And there was some nasty weather.
Yeah, we had a full-on
Iowa.
blizzard, and I-80 was closed in eastern Iowa because of the snow and wind and some crashes. So we're lucky we got all the vehicles there, all in good shape. It helps to have experienced pilots behind the wheel of those things.
Yeah, one thing that was very much obvious, was, because the speed limits were fairly high on these roads, interstates, there's not a lot of traffic, and we had very strong winds. Fuel economy was not great, and I mean you always know that. The faster you go, your fuel economy is going to degrade pretty rapidly. And the same thing is true for EVs, that your range is going to degrade rapidly because the aerodynamic drag goes up with the square of the speed. So it's an exponential difference. That, what we saw, I'm not sure what they got for, I think you said, about 30 in the Sienna?
Right. Yeah.
In the Carnival and the Pacifica, we were getting closer to 20.
Right.
And in the Forester, on the last day I was driving the Forester hybrid. It was a Forester hybrid, and we only got about 24 with that one.
But we were going up some pretty big grades across into Oregon. And of course the Ineos, I think we were around 13.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's pretty good. I mean, it's essentially a brick.
Well,
it's
80 miles an hour
attached to another brick.
Yeah. Yeah. Aerodynamics and fuel economy are not a high priority for the Ineos Grenadier. It's a fantastic off-road vehicle, but it was not the ideal use case for that vehicle on this trip.
Exactly.
But it ultimately got the job done. We got all the people and all the dogs there safely, and that's what matters.
I want to fill off for an option for like an upgraded steering. Like you can still get like the hardcore somebody was talking to the owner. We had dinner the night when we were in Boise with the at the Ineos dealership in Boise, which was the very first Ineos dealership in the U.S. And they apparently sell more Grenadiers there than anywhere else. Apparently people in Idaho really like them. But somebody, I can't remember who it was. Was it Tanya? Somebody was talking to the owner of the dealership or the general manager of the dealership, and they said, for 2026 they are revamping the steering to make it better on road. So we don't have details on that yet, but apparently next year it will get better for on road driving. So I want them to keep the old steering though as an option. Like
maybe there'll be some kind of switchable. Yeah. Who knows?
I'm just
Yeah, I guess in a lot of people who live in the Boise area have places up in the mountains because Boise is kind of down in a valley, and so they have Grenadiers and Land Rovers and other stuff that they use. That they used to go up into the mountains to their places in the hills, and once they get up off the interstate, it's the perfect vehicle for them. It's funny. While we were there, the dog I was looking after, I had to take him for a little walk to do his business. And so we just went outside and walked around the dealership building. There actually was an old classic Defender sitting out back, out in the back of the dealership.
Very cool.
All right. So yeah, I would agree. I think the Carnival was my favorite overall of the 4 vehicles I drove. I drove the Pacifica, the Carnival, the Atlas, and the Forester. The Atlas was also surprisingly really good. Tanya and I drove that on the first day. And the only issue I had with that was the engine seemed louder than I remember it from prior times driving the Atlas, but maybe it's just because of the speed we were going. But other than that, it was very stable on the road. It was great at high speeds, driving down the interstate, and we were comfortable. The dogs were comfortable, so it was all good.
Yeah, I think it was a good representative fleet. It gave us a lot of variety of different things to drive. I did drive the Forester one day with Paul. So we had two guys well over 6 feet in that car and dogs. And it was a little crowded there. You realize very quickly that is a compact SUV, when you spend it that much time with that much stuff in the vehicle.
Yeah. So next June, we're going to do this again, but we're going to do it with EVs this time.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. We got 3 of 4 vehicles already lined up, and we're going to have a Cadillac Escalade IQ, Hyundai Ioniq 9. We're going to get a Rivian, hopefully an R2, but if they can't get us one of those in June, then we'll get an R1S. And then still working on the 4th. So might be a Lucid Gravity if they're still in business. Well,
that's not going to want them to give you a car.
Well, it gives them an incentive to prove that they can keep going and they can be successful.
Going.
That's right.
Or maybe a Kia EV9. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe we should talk to the folks at Volvo for the EX90.
Yeah.
That might be a good one for a 4th, rather than doing the same platform with Kia and Hyundai.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. We'll look into that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some of the stuff that's happening across the industry this week. So a couple of years ago, there was a lot of people got upset when GM announced that they were no longer going to support smartphone projection in their EVs because they've got an Android-based system in there with Google services, and they said starting from this was in March of 2023, I think. They said going forward we're not going to put Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in our EVs anymore, and they're still not doing that. They may or may not remove that support from their gas engine vehicles, but they now have Apple Music available. So for those people, do any of you use Apple Music as your streaming service of choice?
Gosh,
Robbie?
I haven't used Apple Music in forever.
I use Apple Music. I use Apple Music and Spotify. I use both. I use Spotify because I have to deal with a bunch of people for playlists, and then Apple Music for regular Robbie stuff.
Robbie stuff.
Well, now on GM vehicles with the Google system, you can get they're pushing out the Apple Music app to those vehicles, so you can use Apple Music. So it's just since they launched Apple Music, shortly after they launched Apple Music, they've had an Android version of the app. So if you use an Android phone, you can still use Apple Music. But and that's what they're pushing out for whatever reason. Most of the other streaming services like Spotify and YouTube Music and others are all in the Google Play Store on Android Automotive, but Apple, for whatever reason, never decided to put that in there. And so now they're pushing it. It looks like they're doing deals with individual automakers because they've had it in Rivians for a little while, and now they're putting it in GM vehicles and. They'll get it into other vehicles going forward. What do you think? Does that make you any less, or does that overcome any of the issues you have with lack of CarPlay support?
Not really.
No. I feel like it's not just about the music. It's all the other, I don't think that would... If you want CarPlay, that's not what that is.
Yeah, I don't think it really solves the problem. And again, I think the bigger issue is that you can't tell everybody, "Hey, we were doing this thing. Now we're not going to do it because we're going to make our infotainment just as good." You make the infotainment just as good, then you make the change. And I think that's the big issue with this. And most of the GM infotainment systems I've dealt with over the past few years are very slow and buggy. And when your Halo vehicle, the Hummer, whenever you change the drive mode, you got to wait a few seconds for the car to do whatever its weird thing it's doing. It doesn't bode well for the idea. They're like, we're going to get rid of Apple Music. I'm like, well, I think a company that could
using Unreal Engine to do all those cool graphics on the screen.
Fancy graphics.
I know.
Of a car rolling over Mars.
I think the only infotainment system that I think that when I get in the car, I rarely use CarPlay is Mercedes, is MBUX.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's just like, here's the map and here's the widgets for the things you want. That's it. I'm like, oh, yeah. I want the map. Here's the widgets. Cool. Easy.
Is all I need.
And I think the whole point of bringing your device into the car is so I don't have to program a whole other system, right?
You have to learn. You have to do this.
Yeah,
thing.
I've got to learn it. I've got to put all my stuff in there. And this is just we want to make life easier for people, right? People want to just walk in, plug in, or pair and go. And making people learn a new system isn't making their lives easier.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like apps that they still don't support. That I'm like, this isn't here. Well, this isn't here. Well, this. I'm like, all this would work if I had CarPlay. And I think that's people have their own little like ecosystem that they want to be able to use when they get into their car. And when they've become accustomed to that ecosystem, and then they get in a car that previously, or a car from a car maker that previously supported that ecosystem, now that ecosystem is just taken away with the promise of a better ecosystem that's not ready yet. That's where you run into the issue.
Yeah.
It's like we're taking away something that works for something that we're going to make eventually.
But not yet. Suffer.
Okay. So apparently, Ford is for model year 2026 for the Mach-E. When the Mach-E first came out, Ford made a big deal about how big the frunk was, and
the shrimp.
That it had they loaded it with ice and shrimp, and it said it's got a drain plug in the bottom.
That's right.
So as the ice melts, the water can just drain out. So it'll be real easy. Well, now apparently for model year 2026, the frunk is going to become an extra cost option.
What is going on at that company?
Why?
What is happening? What are they doing?
They got to save some money.
They've already molded all the plastic for the thing that goes in there. They're like, you know what? We're going to mold new plastic to cover it up.
$1,000.
Well, I haven't actually seen a picture of it yet. So my guess is that they're actually just going to leave the plastic off. It's going to be like when you open the hood of a Chevy Equinox EV, and there's the motor and the inverter and everything sitting there. It's going to be like that. There's just not going to be any plastic. So they're just saving that plastic.
I don't get it. Why would you get rid of? I mean, it says it gives you a slightly lower entry point by about $1,000.
So the base price of the Mach-E for 2026 is going down a little bit apparently, and then as part of that, they're taking out some content. The thing we know about so far is the frunk, but there's probably going to be some other things that get taken out as well to get to that lower price point.
People not like the frunk, or does it? I think frunks are
weirdest
cool. Why?
decision from a company that makes non-stop weird decisions.
Yeah, they've
like
GM made a few weird decisions.
Seems to make like bad decisions. Like they'll build a great thing and then they'll kill it. Ford just makes weird decisions. Like they have a giant dartboard. And on the dartboard, they allow children to just make things up and then stick it on the dartboard. And then the executive comes in and throws an arrow and then, boom, get rid of the frunk.
Like, okay, frunk is gone. Timmy threw a dart at it. Yeah, that's a strange, I guess. Most buyers weren't looking at it in the first place. Looking for it. No one.
Don't you want a frunk? Isn't that one of the cool?
Isn't that one of the cool things about having an EV that you have a little frunk you can like stuff stuff in there?
It's nice if you have a big frunk.
Right. The frunk in the Lightning, which is going away. No, the
the
frunk and the lightning was useful, right?
Yeah.
But most frunks are just, okay, I've got someplace I can put a extra thing. But yeah, this.
I mean, for a hatchback, it's good to have somewhere where you can lock something. So that's what's nice for the Mach-E is like if I had something like, oh, I have my backpack. You don't leave your backpack in a hatchback anywhere on the planet,
right?
But
Unless
you can lock it.
Stuff.
You could lock it in the front, like the.
How did that sound, Robbie?
So the Ioniq 5 has a frunk that's like the size of a laptop, like a really big, like mid 2000s 17-inch MacBook laptop.
Yeah.
So you can stick a cable up there and then just sort of forget about it because you don't need it. So it's kind of like just there for, every once in a while if you need a cable. But like to have like a real like frunk and to make a big deal about it and to fill it full of shrimp and then to say, you know what, if you want to have a sweet cocktail party with your EV, it's going to cost you another $1,000.
Was it fun? See, I think the whole frunk thing, if I still had an EV, I might use the frunk. Like, I don't have one now, but like, if I would use it, I don't know. I think about like when kids are little and you have stuff that's like gross, you want to just throw it in the frunk, keep it away from your other stuff.
So, you had a little frunk in your EV that you had for about 8 months. Did you ever use it?
Months. I owned the car for 8 months. I drove it for all of like 1,200 miles, Sam. I didn't have a chance to use it.
I don't think Nicole's not a very good use case.
I feel like I'm not the use case. And I had a chance to have it. I had it in February when it was freezing cold, or maybe March. By the time it was nice weather and I didn't have the car anymore. So it was never worked long enough for me to see if I needed the frunk. So, yeah. Yeah.
So
I would have, though. I think it would have been awesome, like camping or something, like throw ice in there, a little cooler, like a little front cooler.
So the Swagoneer is officially gone from your life now?
The Swagoneer is officially gone last week. Yes, I have. It has been turned in, and the good folks at Jeep figured things out enough to say we need to get you out of the car. So yeah, so I no longer have ye olde Swag. I do have the license plate though in my garage. I'm sad. I liked that car.
Oh.
It was the whole going part of it that was a problem, but otherwise it was great. So yeah.
On the rare occasions when it worked, it was great.
It was brilliant when it worked. It was fabulous when it worked. A pretty radar red interior, a great audio system. It went really, really fast when you mashed the accelerator. But not always, which was the problem. Sometimes it did the exact opposite when you matched the accelerator. Therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's officially gone.
Well, speaking of EVs going away, Ford made an announcement while we were on the road last week. I got a call from somebody at Ford saying, "Hey, we're going to be having a briefing call in a couple of hours. Can you join?" It was to announce a bunch of changes in their EV strategy. The Ford, as has been rumored for a while, the F-150 Lightning is now officially out of production. It's no longer being produced. Ford had also previously announced that they were breaking up their joint venture with SK On for battery production. So they had two plants, one in Tennessee, one in Kentucky, and the Tennessee plant is going to SK. The one in Kentucky Ford is keeping, and they have now ended production of nickel, manganese, cobalt cells there, laid off all 1,600 people, and they're going to spend a couple of $1 billion to retool the factory to build LFP, lithium iron phosphate cells, to be used for energy storage systems instead of EVs. They've also canceled plans for the next generation electric transit van. What else? There's a bunch of stuff. And altogether, Ford is taking a $19.5 billion charge this quarter.
With a B.
Yeah. But there's going to be a new Lightning someday, eventually. But it's not going to be a pure EV. It's going to be an extended range EV. What do you think about that?
I feel like they just tried to keep the name. Like, we don't want to say we're canceling the Lightning, but we canceled the Lightning. So we're just going to have a new Lightning coming that's not like the old Lightning. But we're not getting rid of the Lightning because we still have the name.
They say it'll have 700 miles of range altogether between the range extender and the battery. They're not saying how much electric range it'll have from the battery, but 700 in total, which is pretty good. And that shiny new plant that they're building, that they built in Tennessee, the Blue Oval City plant that was supposed to build the next generation Lightning, that's going to build gas trucks instead.
Womp womp. I mean, it comes down to Ford. They're like, oh my gosh, oh God, Tesla's making a truck. We have to make a truck. And it all went downhill from there. The thing is, the F-150 Lightning is the best Lightning for 80% of Lightning owners, to be honest. It's the best, it's the best F-150 for most F-150 owners. It's not the best Lightning for Lightning owners. It doesn't make any sense. I think for most people, it drives better than the gas vehicles. It's more stable. It's just a better truck, to be honest.
If you're not towing with it.
Yeah.
And you're not doing any long distance driving with it, it's great.
Yeah, around town, landscapers, etc. But somehow but they changed the pricing every 3 weeks, it felt like, and then no one, and then it became too expensive for what do you call it? Those people who buy
Fleets.
A lot of trucks. Fleets. Thank you very much. Fleets. Meanwhile, I see Silverado EVs in a lot of government fleets up here in Northern California. So Ford really dropped the ball on that. That's that's potentially thousands of trucks that GM is just selling. EV trucks. And so I think they didn't quite realize that full-size truck owners want vroom vroom truck. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Yes, the towing thing is a big deal, but a lot of them just want vroom vroom truck. It is the official luxury vehicle of Americans who want to spend over $1,000 a month on their car payments. I think the EREV, I'm fine with full-size vehicles as EREVs because most of the time those people are going to be driving around in EV mode. And then, I think it's a smart move. I think that Ford's EV, their whole EV strategy has been scattershot, and it's very much like they don't want to do it. It feels like
it's totally reactive.
Yes.
They reacted to Tesla in every move. They have never led from an EV standpoint. And it even shows in canceling the transit program. I mean, there isn't a better use case for electric vehicles than that kind of last mile delivery vehicle. So
there's 35,000 Rivian vans out there now in the Amazon fleet.
Yeah. I mean, that use case where you're depot charging and you're driving 200 miles maybe a day, a lot of stop start, and you can have that vehicle just sit there, and now it's not idling, not contributing to greenhouse gases, things like that you see with a lot of the ICE-powered delivery vehicles. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're thinking.
I feel like there was vehicles that they didn't really try hard selling, especially with the Transit. When we talk about Rivian, I see the Dodge Ram electric vehicle, what else? There's a couple others that are on the road that I see out and about, and I very rarely see the E-Transit. I had the E-Transit for a week. It was awesome. Started it around, filled it with electricity, plugged in a saw.
Yeah, I think the problem that Ford had, like you said, I think Harvey, you said it, that they've been totally reactive to everything. They seem to have been completely unable to stick to a plan. When they did the Lightning, when they decided to do the Lightning, and this was around the time that that Musk announced the Cybertruck. They said, okay, we can do that, and we can do it better. And arguably, they did do it better than the Cybertruck in most ways. But the original plan for the Lightning was they were planning to do capacity for about 25,000 units a year. Then they bumped that up to 50,000 units a year when they saw there was some interest in it. And then when they showed the truck publicly, they said, oh man, we need to build more. And so right as they were starting production, they said, okay, we're going to build 80,000 a year. And then a few months later, they said, okay, we're going to double that. And we're going to build 150,000 units a year. That was around the same time that, the Ukraine war started. Nickel prices went through the roof. Battery prices went up, and they had to raise the price of the truck. And then people realized, oh, yeah, this thing can tow 10,000 pounds, but it can only go 100 miles doing it. And then they decided, okay, we don't want electric trucks. And what they should have done, instead of putting all of that money into building extra capacity, production capacity that was going to go unused, and getting their suppliers to build more parts, to tool up for more parts that ended up going unused. And then that ends up costing the car maker a huge amount of money when they've got unused capacity. They should have kept the capacity lower, no more than 50,000, and put that investment into actually improving the product and making the product more appealing for customers. And if they had done that, they probably could have been using that 50,000 unit capacity using all of that capacity, selling 50, or 60,000 units a year, and they might have even made money on it. But they did it completely wrong.
They did. Yeah, they could. They could have set 3 years, had an 800 volt version, 800 volt architecture, which get you more efficiency, and worked on the battery chemistry to get you more range, and but it just felt like we're going crazy. I was like 160,000. I'm like, that's so many EVs. And I really think they like, oh, well, a lot of people like it, and look how many people signed up for the Cybertruck. We're gonna get all those Cybertruck people. And I was like, that's not the same people. Now, in hindsight, the Cybertruck, it is, they're not.
And they've only sold about 50,000 of those total over 2 years. So
not great.
So much for their million pre-orders.
Yeah.
Well, they heard 1 million pre-orders. Like, well, if we just do 16% of that, we'll be in the money.
Right.
It's the F series. No one's going to say no to the F series.
Well, Tim Kuniskis has the solution for all of this.
I don't remember.
Which is just throw a Hemi in or a Hellcat in everything.
Everything's a Hemi.
Yeah. But during a briefing a few days ago, they talked about a bunch of stuff that we can't talk about yet. But one thing that he did talk about is he confirmed that the 2027 midsize truck that they're going to build is going to be called the Dakota.
Ooh,
so they're going to build a midsize truck in 2027 called the Dakota. Bringing back Dakota.
But not the Rampage?
Ooh, that would be really
it's you need a Maverick fighter. That's the Rampage. Yeah. They don't have the money for that right now.
No, but getting a mid-size truck makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Seeing
That's
how big full-size trucks are now.
Yeah.
But apparently it's going to cost about $40,000.
Oof.
Well,
that's not out of line with a, dolled up Ranger.
Yeah.
So.
How much is that? How much is that taco?
A Tacoma TRD Pro, or a Trail Hunter is like $67,000 now.
But with just a regular Tacoma, where can I get one?
I think they start around 37.
32, 145.
Yeah, but that's an unobtainable vehicle.
That's the $35,000
rear-wheel drive.
Only fleets can buy those.
I'm reading through this story, and it says that Tim may have been suggesting that the volume trim of the Dakota would be 40, not the base model.
Yeah. There will probably be a work truck special that'll probably be somewhere around 35.
Right. So we don't know, that's just what most people are going to spend $40,000 on this, but you could get it for less.
Which is still
get for less,
a lot cheaper than a Gladiator.
Yes. Yeah. It's cool. They need it. They need that. They need this size truck. It's good that they're going to do this.
Yeah.
Which is a ridge
So, speed limits we saw speed limits last week that were quite a bit higher than what we have here in Michigan. So Harvey, I know you gotta leave, but thank you so much for joining us, and we're definitely gonna have you back.
Yeah,
I love doing it.
Thank you, Harvey.
Yeah, happy to hop on anytime. So thank you guys. Thank you, Sam, for joining us on Operation Frodo last week. I'm looking forward to the summer rescue. So thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. So let's talk speed limits. A legislator in Arizona wants to remove speed limits from certain roads in Arizona, because there's already some roads in some interstates in I think Montana that have where the speed limit is whatever is prudent during daylight hours.
Does it say prudent on the thing? Because I would love that. Speed limit, whatever's prudent.
Actually,
I think that's actually what's in the law. I don't think they put that on the signs.
Oh.
That's the law. The RAPID Act, Reasonable and Prudent Interstate Driving Act. So they do use that, reasonable and prudent.
Yeah. So what do you think? Is this something that should be happening?
If it wasn't the fact that I've driven on American roads in Arizona
With American drivers?
with American drivers who don't understand that the left lane is for passing only. Montana, there's like 12 people in that state, maybe 14. Arizona, there's a lot of people in Arizona.
Well, there are a lot of people who have their vehicles registered in Montana who don't actually live there.
There's that as well, that whole thing. I don't know. Feels like a one-way ticket to people getting hurt. And again, it's not that because the vehicles are unsafe at those speeds. Speed does kill, just so people know. You know, the faster you go, the more likely you are going to die.
Well, it's the sudden stop that kills.
It's not the speed that kills.
It's not the speed.
It's what
it's
happens
the sudden,
when you don't have
the sudden
it anymore.
reduction in velocity.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I mean, if they make it illegal to pass on the right, if they make it illegal to just hang out in the left lane, like if you add a bunch of other provisions that make it so this get rid of the speed limits thing makes sense, then sure. If you're going to teach the people of Arizona how to drive correctly through laws, then okay, yeah, you can do this thing, I guess. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately.
I know I talked about this when I was in Europe and driving on the Autobahn over my vacation. They drive very, very fast, and they drive very, very differently than we do. They get out of the way. You're in the left lane. You very rarely have to wait for someone to tell you to move, because the wait, you get to somebody in the right lane, you pull to the left, you go around them, you pull to the right. Like, it is very organized, and it's very not antagonistic in the someone's going fast, don't get ticked off. Why are they going so fast? I'm not moving. Get out of the way. I don't think we have that attitude here. And that, like Robbie was saying, you'd need to get people to change how they view how they drive. What speeding, like
it's also a lot
going
harder
fast,
to get
move.
a license in Europe than it is here.
Much harder. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I don't know. I love driving fast. I love it when I can go to Germany and drive as fast as I want, but I don't know that I'd be keen on this idea here as a rule.
Because what happens is you're driving fast in the left lane, and if you don't care about the rule, or you don't understand, or you're just a jerk and you're the person who gets in the left-hand lane, even though you're doing the speed limit or less, that's
a problem.
That's a problem, because now you have someone who's doing 100 because they can, coming up on someone who's doing 55 because they feel entitled to be in that left lane because they just got in the freeway, and you are moving so quickly. People don't realize how fast you're really moving when you're going that quickly, and especially when you're encountering traffic that is moving slowly. And yeah, it's, and the Autobahns, it's when you're coming up to like a interchange, like it goes back to like 100 kilometers or 120
And
kilometers an
everybody
hour.
slows down.
And
That's
everyone
the other thing.
slows
Everybody
down.
really pays attention to that reduction in speed limit.
And it's like 4 lanes wide on each. So it's not like it's like a 2-lane road and I'm doing 95 miles an hour. It's a very wide, okay, this is where the slow people. Here's people who are a little less slow. Here are people who are driving regularly. And then there's the left lane.
Yeah.
Where you people are passing, or there's one person who's doing, 150.
Yeah. At 100 miles an hour, you are covering 150 feet every second.
Was that a football field?
That's about half a football field.
Yeah. So there you go. You're doing half a football
every
field.
second.
A second. Yeah. People don't. Yeah. You if you haven't driven really, really fast, you don't.
It's hard to understand.
It's very much you become a tunnel because you can't look down at the odometer. You can't look down at the speedometer. You are just looking forward. And the idea that we're going to sort of get people all on board on that in Arizona kind of scares me. Again, unlikely. If they make it so like, okay, it's only on 4 or 5 lane roads, it's only out in the middle of nowhere. Everyone has to follow these special rules. There's got to be a lot of police officers now, like pulling people over for passing on the right or for just hanging out in the left-hand lane. It just seems like because we do not have that driving culture in this country.
Exactly. It's the driving culture. You nailed it. That's a great way to put it, Robbie. We just don't have that driving culture here, and it would be a complete change.
We're all very important people.
We're all so important. Everyone needs to get our way.
Out of my way.
And we're in the right spot, guy. Wherever speed I'm
not
going
moving
is the
over.
speed.
I'm doing 70 in the 65 lane. Why should I move over?
There are, the average age of cars in this country is now 13 years old. Almost 13, just shy of 13 years old. There are a lot of cars on the road that should not be being used anywhere near those kinds of speeds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that arguably shouldn't be used at 60 miles an hour. But, certainly not at 100 or more miles per hour.
Yeah.
And so, maybe part of that should also be, annual inspections of vehicles and, in order to drive at those higher speeds, your vehicle has to get inspected. Maybe you need a special license plate or a special tag on your license plate to make sure that the vehicle you're driving is actually safe to operate at those kinds of speeds too. But again, that I know that sounds utterly un-American. That's just.
We're getting rid of state inspections in New Hampshire. They're disappearing. Yeah, we've had them. I don't know, forever.
So then
we've never had them here in Michigan.
We just have a smog check here in California.
Yeah, we had once. It was always state inspections, and since as far as I've ever known, and I think they end in February. If you register, I think it's February, March. It's this spring. We had a smog inspection thing for a hot minute back in the 80s, and that was about it. We don't have that anymore, but now there's no state inspection. And I got to say, as frightening as it is, you hold your breath, especially if you drive an old car. You're like, oh, please, God, please, God, please, God, please, God, that you want it to hold together. But I truly would rather know my brakes are about to fail or my tire's worn and I don't know it or belt's about to snap than find out harder ways. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like I just want to now make an appointment with a mechanic once a year to just check it. Like, is there anything I'm missing?
So they just check the roadworthiness of your vehicle to make sure that, like you said, your brakes aren't bad. You're not rotor to metal. You're not.
Right? I just want someone to check and make sure, like, am I missing anything I can't see? But yeah, nothing. New Hampshire's going to be like, okay, go for it. See what happens.
If it starts, you're good to go.
Yeah, start, you're good to go. Oh, God.
All right. Apparently, more people are starting to realize that modern door handles on cars are really stupid.
Thank God.
They're just terrible, terrible designs.
I just want to grab the door and open it. I want a firefighter who comes to my car when something bad's happened, or a police officer or whoever, and can just grab the door handle and open it up. I don't need them to like, oh, did you read how to open up the door on this certain vehicle because they decided to do an electronic door? I don't need that. I don't need that stress in my life.
I just want door handles. So the new door handles that you just reach, I want it to be something that, like the ones that come out and are like a little just thing you grab. When it's cold and snowy and wet, the number of times like my hand slips off of those, like I just want to open, just give me a little thing I can grab and pull open. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bloomberg had a big piece. They focused on Tesla, but Tesla is by no means the only company doing these bad door handles. A lot of legacy automakers are doing it now. The likes of Lucid and Rivian are all doing it. A lot of the Chinese are doing it. The Chinese regulators are now starting to ban those types of door handles. But I think we really need to consider doing that everywhere, because it's just a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like even the Hyundai, the Ioniq 5, they're not electronic. Like you can push the little side and pull them open. They're actual mechanical door handles. But the fact that they're flush just makes me knock bonkers. Because it
does make it more annoying.
A firefighter comes up and they're like, I don't know.
He's like,
I don't need an instruction manual for someone to save me if I get in a car accident. That's all. That's all. I want.
Yeah. Before we save him, first let's figure out how to get the door open.
Get
Where's
YouTube,
the manual?
Look up.
Yeah, page 95. Let me just check. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's. Stop. They're like, well, we're saving like 0.000001 on drag coefficient. I'm like, that's not worth it. Stop it.
I'll pay that extra little bit of whatever, reduce that efficiency to be able to be safely extricated from my vehicle.
It's like the Ioniq 5 rear windshield wiper, and their first reason was like, well, drag coefficient, right?
But can't see.
The next one came out and it had it, and then it has more range. I'm like, look what you did there. The technology got better. You got better at making the car bits that make the car go a long way, so you could add a windshield wiper. Now add like just a regular old, I want to grab the door handle and open it.
Handle. Just regular door handle.
Give us a handle.
Just a handle.
Speaking of just having stuff that works, there was some nasty weather in the Bay Area this week. Robbie, you might be able to tell us a little something about that. But I guess
was it nasty?
I guess it was a tad windy.
It's all the leaves felt like one day the leaves were on the tree, next day the tree is completely bare. Things are falling over. I will rebuild, which is just, I don't know. I'll probably trim the tree later.
Well, I guess apparently, there was a lot of power outages in San Francisco.
Like half the city.
Yeah. And apparently that caused Waymo's fleet to just freeze because they lost, they don't need power while they're driving. But I guess they do need connectivity, and without power, the connectivity just went away. There was no cell signal in large parts of San Francisco for a while this weekend, and so without connection back to home base, all these Waymo robotaxis just okay. I'm going to stop right here, right in the middle of the street.
It's like a really bad way to have, like, okay, if you're like pull over. Get out of the way.
They're supposed to, like, if they come to a light that's kind of like a traffic light, they're supposed to revert to a four-way stop, like a human would, and they couldn't figure that out because they're like, we don't know what's going on. And they're just like, oh, well, that's okay. And this isn't like a crazy edge case.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like, what do we do if the power goes out? That'll never happen. We don't need to worry about that.
This is Northern California.
When does the power ever go out in Northern California?
I know. When's that ever happen? Yeah, no, it's
who's ever had a power issue with PG&E?
I know. No one's ever had issues with PG&E.
Never.
So yeah, it's one more thing where you're just like, oh well, hey, the Waymos are great and they do this thing. And I got stuck behind a Waymo. I was driving the CLA Electric through San Francisco, and it just pulled like it was taking a right. This is in traffic, and then it just stopped. And we're all like, what is going on? And so I pulled around it, and the whole time I'm pulling around it, I'm terrified that the car's going to decide to just go because I don't have, there's no one I can look at. I don't know what the car's going to do. There's no, there's no eye contact. There's no.
To be like, I'm here, I'm going. Get out. You good?
Yeah, you
I'm
see
staying,
me. Okay, cool.
Like, what?
And so I pull around really slowly, and then a couple other people, and then like the fourth, I'm looking in the rearview mirror. It starts to pull forward again, and the person pulling around is like,
wait, it's awake.
And that's just a regular day in San Francisco with the car. Now, the fact that they're just like shutting down, power's out, we're done, union break.
What happened to the people in them?
I think people like I saw some people online or on social media who were like, they ascended the ride, got out of the car and got an Uber.
Okay.
They ordered a human to come pick them up.
They went to Uber. Yeah. Get me my reliable Uber. Get me on this thing.
When there's no power, and like you said, you pull up to a traffic signal and the lights are out, you just treat it as a four-way stop. Humans know how to do that.
You make it.
I mean, that should be a no-brainer for an automated system.
What's terrifying is if this had happened because of, say, of an actual disaster, like a fire, like something had fallen over, and now there's emergency vehicles trying to get somewhere. And people in their cars like, oh, I know them, pulled over. The Waymos are already confused. They're like, man.
They're just going to sit there.
They're just, yeah. And they were all like bunching up because they all work in a geographic region. They all typically will take the same route because they know that route. So they all got bunched up at certain intersections. And you're just like, now imagine a fire truck or police
trying to get through that mess.
An ambulance trying to get through that. And they're like, oh, well, we can't get by because the Waymos are confused because they
Waymos don't understand what a four-way intersection is.
There's no redundancy. This is the same thing we grilled the guy at Cruise, the CEO, ended up quitting. I'm like, well, so there's no redundancy?
No, he did not end up quitting. He got fired.
Oh, yeah, he ended up getting fired. But, asking him about redundancies and network connection because all those cruises got stuck, and they blamed a music festival that was on the other side of town. He's like, well, the network. I'm like, so you don't have redundancies for the network? And then me and Sam kept asking him questions till he got angry with us. Anyway, self-driving cars of the future.
Yeah, it's all good.
Bring it on.
All right. So last week we put out the call for suggestions as to what Nicole should get as her next car.
Did someone?
We actually did get some suggestions.
There were suggestions.
Yeah, and we're still looking for more suggestions. But remember, you can't just suggest a vehicle. You have to justify it.
You have to tell us why. You can't just say Chrysler Pacifica. I demand reasons.
Yeah,
demand reasons.
So let's start off with C. Rose, who actually provided several suggestions.
She wants maybe 2 midsize HP horsepower. I like that their explanation. She wants an EV. Number 1, 2 midsize SUV, 3 horsepower exclamation point. Thank you. She is buying outright, not leasing. So I looked at it was for few real estate discounts them and not on lease. So I can't. So the answer can't be Miata. Very well done.
This is one of those rare instances where Miata is not the answer.
Not the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Genesis GV60 in Tromso green. Oh, is it that really dark green?
I think so, yeah.
It's a good color. With Robbie and the Ioniq and Sam the EV6, you could complete the picture with the fancy Genesis. Go for the advanced trim, or if you need more horses, the performance trim. Ioniq 5. Do you like that one?
I was going to suggest, my personal suggestion is that you should get the GV60 Magma.
The Magma. Oh, the Magma. Just so I can say it's liquid magma.
Yeah.
That would work. And then what's the number 2 is Ioniq 5N, no explanation needed. Prices on these just came down a lot. You should be able to get 3 to 4 under sticker. Cadillac Optic, great value. I've had mine now for 2 months and really enjoy it. Reach out to me. I'll get you a great deal from my dealer. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Look at that. Chevy Blazer SS or Cadillac Lyric if Optic is too small, but I like the drive of Optic more, especially get a 26, which is rear-wheel drive, or rear biased all-wheel drive. Ford F-150 Lightning. It's almost like forbidden fruit. Thanks again for the amazing contact. P.S. I have a contact of a great broker in the Boston area that could really get you a deal once you decide what car you want. All right. I'm getting that email for this person from C. Rose from Sam before.
I will send that over to you.
Then I had, so those, okay, so I like all those. I think of my list, on that list, the GV60 is my favorite because I was actually looking at a Genesis. That's on my list. So that's on the list.
The holy trinity of HMG if you get the GV60.
Right? We're just going to get all their products. So Genesis is on my list. I really like Genesis.
Yeah, Robbie's got a rear-wheel drive Ioniq 5.
Mm-hmm.
We have an all-wheel drive EV6. You could get the GV60 Magma.
Okay, GV60 Magma. Okay, problem solved.
Unfortunately, I think a couple of these suggestions, the Cadillac Optic and the Lyriq and the Blazer SS, while they're great vehicles, I think you would probably disqualify them because of lack of CarPlay support.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Because I do want CarPlay on mine, so that would be a no. The Ioniq 5N, that would be a lot of, no explanation needed. That would be super duper fun times. I would like that one.
We'd all be very
jealous. And the GV60 Magma is basically a 5N in a fancier suit.
Fancy. It's dressed up. It's wearing a tux. Yeah. Okay. It's the tuxedo version of the 5N.
Yeah, James Bond version of
James Bond version. Okay, then Scott Dick said I should buy a Mini, a 26 Mini Cooper S, 4-door, iconic. We bought the 2005 and 2006, wrote a check, waited a week, went back and drove it away. Look for any over $40K. They have most trick parts. There's no spare. That costs $1,200. We put it in the back seat when we drive out of the city. It's a great little car, and she'll be able to spend the next year attempting to figure out most all the software features. What makes it even more fun is the software updates about every 60 days, so you can start over again.
It's like a party.
That's the recommendation. I'm not sure that's what I want. Is a constant sense of having a new car in terms of not knowing the infotainment. But
isn't that what software-defined vehicles are all about? Is that constant sense of having a new car?
It's evolving like a Pokemon in your driveway.
Like a Pokemon. And then we have one more from Steven, who said, I think her next car should be a Porsche Taycan or an Audi e-tron GT.
Used.
The justification. Does it say, used? Yes. And the justification, one, I recall the reasoning behind the Wagoneer was because as an automotive journalist, there's a value in having perspective on the EV ownership experience. This is still true. He is correct.
I think you've got some perspective on the experience now.
Let me tell you. So no, that is true. I did want that. Then number 2, 75% of all car sales are used car sales. So likewise, having perspective on the used car buying process. Okay. Number 3, the sensible choice would be an Ioniq 5 or EV6, but the co-hosts have those perspectives.
Yeah, you're not allowed to buy the car we have. Sorry,
can't
Nicole.
buy what you have. Okay. All right, crossed off.
Sorry, Dem's the rules.
And number 4, the Taycan and its platform mate are generally regarded as the best EVs in the market. CPOs we have for less than the MSRP of the Wagoneer with factory powertrain warranties still in effect. Looking forward to hearing about what you decide to do. Thanks once again for all that you do, and best of luck on the road ahead. I was looking at Porsches. I was actually looking at the Taycan was not my list, but I was looking at a Macan or a Cayenne.
Yeah, you can get the Taycan, the Cross Turismo.
I could.
Yeah.
So there's some potential. You guys,
that's kind of like the same
potential.
form factor as a Wagoneer S.
It's a Wagoneer S.
Right. It's a Wagoneer, same exact car. Do I want the same exact car? I appreciate these. I like these. I think there's a couple on this list that are on my list. Like I said, the Genesis is on my list. And I was looking at Porsche, but maybe I'll not the Taycan. Maybe I should be looking at the Taycan. Do you know, I have never driven one.
What?
The Taycan?
Ever. I've never had the opportunity to drive a Taycan.
I think everyone who's driven the Taycan loves the Taycan. That's why it didn't sell as well. Because if auto journalists universally love something,
it's gonna bomb.
It's gonna bomb. It is such a wonderful vehicle. The last one I drove was I think it was a Sport Turismo in Germany. It was purple. Fantastic.
I'm looking at it now.
I haven't driven the Taycan, but I've driven a couple of e-tron GTs. Including in October, I drove an RS e-tron GT when we were shooting a thing for CNBC, and that car is so good.
The Taycan's so pretty, though. It's a good-looking car. I'm looking at it now. I'm scrolling through Porsche's website.
I have a Macan coming in a couple of weeks, right after CES.
Do you
Macan
really?
EV, yeah. So I've driven it briefly during that same day we were shooting with the Audi, but I'll have it for a week, and we'll see what it's actually like to live with.
Okay. Well, see, let me know if it goes. That's my main priority. Does it go when it's supposed to go? Because that's high on my list of things a car needs to do.
Car things, please.
The most car thing a car needs to do is go.
I would like my car to do car things, please.
I like my car to do car things.
Speaking of which, last week during the final day of Operation Frodo, we were just pulling into Portland, and I get a text from my wife that the electric system fault came on in the EV6, and then it went into turtle mode. Fortunately, she was only a couple of blocks from the house, and I had a suspicion of what it was, that it was the low voltage system. And before we bought this one, it's a used one. Before we bought it, I had checked on the NHTSA. There's a NHTSA recall website where you can put in a VIN number for a particular vehicle, and you can see if it has any open recalls on it, or if they've been addressed. And when I put the VIN in, it actually said there are no unrepaired recalls on this vehicle. However, it turns out that the way the recall was worded is that they were pulling in all the cars, and they were inspecting the integrated charge control unit, but not necessarily replacing every single one. So if it was working, they weren't replacing it.
So it was working at that moment.
It was working at that moment.
It was okay. So it's technically.
So what I ultimately, when I got home on Thursday, I plugged in the OBD dongle and opened up the car scanner app on my phone and read the codes, and sure enough, it had the fault code for the ICCU. And it was also showing the low voltage battery was only at about just shy of 10 volts, which is why it wouldn't go. And the dealer's only like less than 2 miles from my house. So I figured, okay, let me see if I can, drive it very slowly over to the dealer. I can stay on side roads. Figured, I'll give it a shot, see if I can get it over to the dealer to check it out. I got about 2 blocks. Before it came to a complete stop and would not go any further. So then I called AAA, and they towed it over to the dealer. This was on Thursday afternoon. Fortunately, they were able to get it in, check it out, confirm that, the ICCU had failed, and they immediately ordered a part. And when they were checking, they checked in the Kia system, in the service system, and they saw that it had been inspected twice. The ICCU had been inspected 2 times, but there was no indication of whether it had actually been replaced. So while they ordered the part and got wait, and they told me that this was on Thursday afternoon, that it probably wouldn't come in till Tuesday, which, as we're recording, it's Monday evening. It wouldn't come in till tomorrow, and if it didn't show up by Tuesday, then because of the holiday this week, it wouldn't be till Monday, so we would have been without the car for over a week. Fortunately, the part showed up this morning, Monday morning, and it's only a 20-minute job to replace it. And so they got it done, and we've got the car back, and it's all good.
Yay!
But I sent a note to one of my contacts at Kia and asked him to check, and he verified that this one had never had the ICCU replaced. So now it has, so it should be good to go for forever.
It's a holiday miracle.
Yeah.
It's a little holiday.
Praise Lord Santa.
Holiday miracle. Woohoo!
Praise Lord Kia.
Praise Krampus.
Yeah.
Praise Krampus.
So anyway, so our EV6 is back running again. So it's all good.
Yay.
Yay. Only a few days. That's always the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
And it didn't cost
just a couple of days, just a long weekend, and it was all good.
Just time and effort.
And LaFontaine Kia here in Ypsilanti did a great job. They when they were done, they washed the car, so it's all clean and shiny. So
I have a nice service center at my Hyundai dealership. They're really nice. They get me in, they get me out. They're very no nonsense, but they're also very nice, which I'm a big fan of. No nonsense, nice.
Yes.
No nonsense.
That's the best kind. That's the best kind of service department.
They're like, what do you need? All right, we got it. Okay, cool.
Just fix it, and then just sign here to acknowledge that did the work, And nope, no charge. All under warranty. All good.
Yeah. Get out of here.
All right. With that, let's say goodbye for this week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yes, everyone
Bye.
Have a good Christmas. It's Christmas week. Merry
Yeah,
Christmas,
happy
everyone.
holidays, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
If you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, Grainger knows that you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you're confident you'll soon have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.